Hello everyone, and welcome to my review of My Hero Academia episode 113, or episode 25 of the last season, season 5. The episode was titled The High Deep Blue Sky, and we just finished watching it live on Twitch. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the episode briefly, and then maybe reply to some of the comments from last week, because there was a lot of stuff that people said that I think we need to talk about or would be interesting to talk about. Then, after that, I want to read you a screenshot that I took from something someone shared that I think is an interesting topic. I don't fully agree with it, but I think it brings up something that I do agree with, if that makes sense. And then yeah, we can just score the overall season. But let's start by reading some comments from this episode 113. I realize it now, but Nana Shimura is ripped as fuck. Nana Shimura. Todoroki looked really handsome there at the end. I just want to point that out. Wow, they improved so fast, and Deku can use Black Whip full control. Yeah, next step float. Let's go My Hero Academia versus My Villain Academia. But we must wait for season 6. Yeah, now we're gonna wait. That's gonna be a little bit sad, but I have to admit, I'm kind of interested in rewatching the show. I thought me and Hanku might be able to watch it together. I just don't know when I'll have time. Maybe, because at the moment, I watch shows while we have dinner. Like, we watch shows together while we have dinner. And I'm thinking like maybe doing at least one episode of My Hero Academia once or twice a week. I think it would be really fun to rewatch it before the next season, which I don't know, will probably be a year or a bit more. I'm not sure. Lol, gotta love Bakugo's logic. I'm better than you now because you're learning something I can already do. This is probably the happiest I've ever seen him in the entire series. But damn, oh my god, he was so great. It was so great to see their dynamic in this episode, and just to be back with them. I really missed them as much as I think it was, you know what would be fun? A couple of reactions to My Hero Academia. Like, I've already watched it, so I'll just be sitting there watching him most of the time, but also watching this show, and then he'll be watching it for the first time. That would be so cool. That would be cool. Maybe I don't watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood yet, and then I just rewatch My Hero Academia with Hanku. I'm joking. Sort of. But yeah, Bakugo is just so fun in this episode, and I love to see them all again. It seemed more like a this finale, the big stuff already happened, and it was with My Villain Academia. But now they just wanted to bring us back to the main cast and the kind of like a conclusion to this season. Sorry, I don't know why I forgot that word. And like I said during the reaction, what I love most about Bakugo and Deku is this dynamic between them. And I personally feel like that dynamic already existed when they were kids. Like, I'm talking small, before they manifested their quirks, and they were always going to grow up like this, rivals, best friends type of, like, you know. But sadly, because of Deku not getting a quirk, their relationship developed into something completely different, which was obviously really bad. And Bakugo was in the wrong for not changing, not realizing the damage he was doing to Deku and the bullying, blah blah blah. But what I like is just that I don't think he ever meant it in a malicious way, but it turned out very malicious. It doesn't matter how he meant it in this sense, because he should have been, like, at 14 or whatever their age is, 13, you should be more aware, and other adults should also be more aware and involved, because clearly you shouldn't be like that towards another child. But my point is just, Bakugo never really changed. Their dynamic changed, and then it's like you can have a double action Kale and Hanku second channel maybe. No. Reaction. No, I don't think we'll end up doing that. I just posted for patrons. But So my point is, like, here's a situation. A guy smacking a girl in the bum. Fine if your girlfriend and boyfriend, or even like have been friends for a really long time and that's your dynamic, not fine at work. Same situation, but context is important. And even if the guy at work smacked you in the bum and they didn't intend it mean, they're not allowed to do that. So in this case, Bakugo was in the wrong, but if things had just turned out a bit differently in primary school and Deku had his quirk, I think that they would have been just like they are now, which is a great dynamic, and they're on the same, you know, here. So that to me is reassuring in the sense that although Bakugo was wrong because he should have known better, I at least feel like, oh, this is what they always would have been. And I'm glad that in the end they were able to reach this dynamic, you know, because I feel like they're so good for each other in the sense that they're very different, but at the same time, because of that, but they have the same goal, they push each other forward and they learn from each other a lot, even if they don't want to admit it, or even if Bakugo doesn't want to admit it. Okay, so I really like that part. And, you know, we saw a lot of nice moments between Deku and Uraraka and Kirishima and Minna. And there was like just really, there was Todoroki and Bakugo when he didn't cut the chives right. And he was saying, if your sister saw this, she would cry. Like, that's kind of, it shows that, I don't know. I just think that they're really cute. They've come so far as friends. Bakugo to Deku. Die, you nerd. Kuso nerdo. But now it's like, it comes across different because they're on the same level, if that makes sense. And he's like, but it doesn't bother Deku because that's just how Bakugo is at this point. He's learned. And it's not that he's learned how to not take it bad. It's that because of where he is, it's like water off a duck's back, right? It doesn't soak into him. It doesn't need to because they're friends. I don't know how to explain it, but to me it makes sense and I like their dynamic. It's really funny. Then the comment also says, I don't know, but I'm not going to read further because I don't want to be spoiled on anything. So that's it for the comments. There's one or two more comments on Crunchyroll that I want to read. The first one saying, is it just me or did it feel like the end of the episode was very abrupt? Which I don't agree with. There have been abrupt endings. This one wasn't it for me. It kind of winded down nicely. To no one's surprise, Season 6 has been confirmed and hopefully this war arc is as good as the manga readers say it will be. I have never been the biggest fan of My Hero Academia, but I would admit that some parts are entertaining, especially an MVA, My Villain Academia. Regardless, I can't wait to see the next season, but I will definitely see y'all there. Interesting. The whole budget better go to Season 6. I want to see everything. Okay, I'm not reading further than that because clearly manga readers are commenting. Okay, so is there anything, I think, let's just recap the episode. Hawk said some stuff, which I feel I am, let me just confirm, now that this season is done, and there's a year before the next season, I'm going to finish reading Bakuman, and then I'm going to read My Hero Academia from where Deku and Kachan fought. So anything that I didn't understand, I'm not too worried about because I'm going to reread it. Or not reread, but kind of, I watched it, so I know it. So in that sense, I'll reread it. But I'm not reading it for the second time. I'm just reading it after watching it. Okay. And, yeah, there's not really much to review. There was just some really nice moments between the characters. So let's just score the episode while we're at it. It was a wind down episode, the wind down and the conclusion of the season. reminding us who the true main cast are. Naruto seasonals. Here we go. My Hero Academia. Episode 25. You're gonna re-see it, yes. She wants to kill me all the time. I think me and Kayla have Dekugo Bakugo friendship. Yeah, kinda. Okay, so story for a last episode, I would say it was very good. It was an 8 out of 10. Nothing amazing, but not at all, a little bit beyond average because of the emotions and interesting information. And Nax realized the doctor that is doing all the things with Shigaraki, he's the same doctor that diagnosed Deku with not having a quirk and stuff, which it just goes to show there can be bad people in every profession. And I wish I had waited to tell this joke until now, because now I have to retell a joke and it's not funny the second time in 20 minutes. Wait, what was I talking about? Oh, there was this meme that I saw where it shows all these different professions in 2 groups, and it shows teachers. There's mostly good teachers, but some bad ones. Policemen, there's mostly good ones and then some bad ones. Doctors, there's mostly good ones and some bad ones. Parking guards, mostly good ones, some bad ones, and then in the last column, politicians, mostly bad ones and some good ones. So I thought that was funny. And yeah, that reminded me of the doctor. Okay, but story 8, characters, I would say 8.5. Love the interactions. No, 9. What am I talking about? Bakugo and Deku, to see them again, it just, I mean, there wasn't, it was a wind down episode, so I'm not expecting major revelations, but so many good character moments, and seeing everyone again made me just, appreciate how great the characters are. George says, I would love to watch Bakugo and Inosuke interact, and then Cherry replied, yes, and personally I want to see Deku and Tanjiro. In my opinion, they give off a similar vibe. Don't they have the same VA? Or am I imagining that now? Wait, does Bakugo and Inosuke have the... They don't have the same... Do they have the... I don't remember now. I need to look up the VAs again. I think they have the same VA as well. I thought the same, but I don't think they do. Let's quickly confirm. Let me go to AniList. My Hero Academia. Deku, Izuku, Midoriya's Daiki, Yamashita. And he also voices... Fuck. Really? Oh no, he doesn't. He voices Yushiro. So then who has Tanjiro? But he could totally voice Tanjiro though. In my head right now, Tanjiro has Deku's voice. Right? That's how I remember it. His VA is Natsuki Hanae. Okay. Ken Kaneki. Oh my god. Interesting. Takumi Aldini. And then Bakugo has Nobuhiko Okamoto. But he does do Inosuke. He has to. He doesn't though. But he could. They could just give it. In my head right now, Inosuke also has Bakugo's voice. Oh my god. You can see I haven't watched Demon Slayer in a while, because right now in my head they have the same VAs. Same, I looked him up when I watched Demon Slayer because I was so sure they had the same VA. That's crazy. Okay, visuals. The visuals in the episode were like 7.5 to 7.8 9-ish. So I'm going to go with 7.8. Audio. The audio was very good. The OST I really liked. I twice thought, wow, the OST is good here. Voice acting, very good. So I'd give an overall 8.5 for audio. And then enjoyment, I would say an 8. So that gives us an overall 8.3 for the last episode. Where do you rank this season compared to the other seasons? That's part of why I want to rewatch the first couple of seasons, because they all kind of blend into one for me. Honestly, I would need to like remember what happened in each season in order to differentiate between which I like the most. Okay, so I'm going to work out the average score. The average score and the overall score are not necessarily going to be the same. Okay, get ready because there's going to be a lot. We have episode 1, 8.4, 8.6, 8.5, 8.4, 8.1, 8.4, 8.4, 9.5 for episode 8, 9.3 for episode 9, 8.7, 7.6, 8.4, 8.6, 9 for episode 14, 8.8 for episode 15, 8.8, 7.8, 8.8, 9 for episode 19, 7.8, 8.5, 9.1 for episode 23, 8.5, 8.3. So mostly over 8s, none under 7.5 that I could see. It gives us an overall score of 8.5, which I feel is pretty much overall score. I feel like it was mostly an episode that was I liked all throughout, because I felt like they were building to something, and then we saw, you know, the end. There was great moments there, but overall I would say it was more like an 8, because it was a season of good building things up, but it doesn't feel like it. And there was a couple of episodes that were really great, but overall, even though I like that feeling of building towards something, I don't think I could give it higher than an 8. But that's being a bit strict, because I have high expectations for the show and the characters. The only reason why I would give it higher is probably because of the characters. And the OST was great. Let me see here. So last episode watched. Story, I would give, the story for me overall was okay. I think it might end up higher than an 8, because story, I kind of, okay, in the beginning it was like, looking back, 7.528, but the last part was really great, so like a 9. I would give it an overall 8.4. Characters, I would say overall 8.8. Visuals overall 8. I think, yeah. I don't remember how I felt about the visuals for the most part, but I think it was very good. Then again, no, it was visuals overall, I'm gonna go with 7.9. Like it was almost an 8, but something, looking back, I feel like over the whole season it was maybe just lacking a little bit, I think. Okay, audio 8. The audio was very good. Actually, 8.3 more like. Yeah, and then enjoyment, consistent 8 with some higher moments. But that gives us an overall score of 8.3. So let me just leave it like that for now. I don't have to round up and round down anymore. I said I'm going to stop doing that. Although it does kind of bother me that some are rounded up and down now. Like either a 7 or a 7.5 or an 8. Not anything in between. But now I wanted to stop. But now I feel like weird because some things have been rounded down and up. But whatever. Let me just go to My Hero Academia. See all the compare. So I had season 1 at an 8. Season 2 at an 8, Season 3 at an 8, Season 4 at an 7.5, and Season 5 at an 8.3. Although I do remember that Season 2, the one with United States of Smash, what? The one with All for One. Which season was that? Because I feel like it might have been... See, the problem is now with this comparison is these were probably rounded down. Let me see here. 8. Does that change anything? It's a... There we go. See, it's the same score, 8.5, but everything's been rounded down. So let me... I can fix it. Ooh, I just spat. I can fix it! Okay, so look here. Can you see? Okay, you can't see. Just give me a second. Damn it. Wait, just give me a second. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to... This is the score rounded down. So if I go down and up, it gives it an 8.3. So season 1 technically should have an 8.3. Season 2, I just gave it an overall 8. Which, like, looking back, I feel like that might have been... I could have gone more in depth there. I feel like that was one of my... 3 is AFO and 4 is overhaul. Okay, 3. 3 was the one that I probably think is... Oh, but look, story 7.5, audio 7.5. This is an 8. It's just an 8. Huh. I remember that, but maybe it was just that moment that was like, you know? Which season was Deku versus Kachan? Okay, this one's an overall 8. It remains an 8. Season 4, 7.6. Season 5, 8.3. So season 1 and season 5 have the highest scores. But season 1 was 13 episodes only. Season 2 had 25. I feel like season 3 was probably my favorite. Yeah, I feel like season 3 was probably my favorite. Sadly, I didn't go... It doesn't seem like it was, but I'll rewatch it and then I might adjust some scores. Maybe, you know, you always... It depends on what you're watching at the same time. Maybe sometimes you're comparing it to other shows that were really great and then you kind of feel like, well, this wasn't as good, but... All for One was a pretty short arc, and Deku vs. Kachan round 2 was at the end of season 3. I think season 3 was my favorite. If I'm remembering back, okay? But I really like this season a lot. I gave the My Hero Academia movies... Both movies an 8.5. Oh, wait. Those were ONAs. Okay. 2 Heroes... Which movie am I still supposed to watch? Because I need to make time for that. Okay. So, now that we have all scores and opinions about overall stuff there, I just quickly want to talk about... Reply to... some the comments that I want to reply to are linked to that thing I want to discuss, the screenshot. So Heroes Rising, so that movie is out and I haven't watched it. I want to watch it. Maybe reading season 4 with the manga might even shift your opinion. Who knows? True. And you know, you could be onto something there. Maybe I remember some stuff more fondly because I remember reading it in the manga. Are there any characters that stood out to you most this season? I mean, besides the villains getting more time and attention, I mean, they stood out. But Dark Shadow, his time with Hawks was pretty great. Endeavor, obviously, and Todoroki, Bakugo, Deku, as usual. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna remake my favorite characters list. Someone remind me to do this. Let me add it to my to-do list, okay? I'm gonna remake my favorite characters list, and then I want to compare it to my old list because I have a video of my old list of favorites. So let me see here, to-do list. Favorite My Hero Academia characters, new list. Done. Dekugo, Shotogo, Iido, Ochigo, Tsuyugo. Dark Shadow doesn't know Hawks yet. He is in season 1. I don't care what people say. I legit enjoyed seeing all of Class B, even if it could have been shorter. What do you mean? What I didn't enjoy was the, but that was from last season. The school, arc, what do you call that? The school festival arc. I didn't really like that. I did enjoy the Class A versus Class B fights, though, at the beginning of the season. People did complain about that a lot, I remember. But personally, oh, my warm water bottle, give it to me back. Okay, so now, comments. Let me read this back and forth between me and another person, just talking, and then you guys can give your thoughts on it. I'm starting with this. Nicolas Castillo, I don't know how to say your surname, I'm sorry. I think the Liberation Army have ideals in common with the League. Reed Destro really had all the pressure to be the successor of Destro. That was his source of stress. When he realized Tomura is the representation of a free man, the stress he had passed to be admiration and devotion to his cause. This comment is edited, so I don't know if anything has changed, but I'm just saying that in advance. In his own view, he was free of his bounds as supreme leader and make Shigaraki a meta-human that literally abandoned his old self to be the one symbol of fear, the new face of his revolution. When you think about freedom, it's difficult to make a real definition. Today, we are prisoners of work, time, social norms, or even our own responsibilities as society. But in that ideal world where people with quirks that look cool, like Bakugo, have the audacity to treat as shit other kids that didn't have a quirk, or the story of Toga and how they suppress her personality until she couldn't control it, they are already prisoners of what hero society thinks ethic. I really think this arc not only developed villains as their backstories and new powers, it also shows how society works, and nothing is perfect as good and bad. Shigi, I hate it when people use cute nicknames for bad guys. That's just a personal opinion, because I feel like it downplays the fact that this man is a bad person. Shigi, okay. That is not to do with the discussion. Shigi could become Deku if he had someone that tell him he can be a hero too. The world... I think that is putting too much... Personally, he's not done yet, but I'm thinking of something else now. I feel like that puts too much value or too much nature versus nurture. Yes, nature is important, but no, nurture is important, but nature does play a role. And I don't think just because someone gets someone who tells them, you can do it, doesn't mean that you will turn out the same. And I think that this downplaying Deku's character as if... Because the thing is, like, how do I say this? No, it's too different for me. I think that's just downplaying Deku's character and his hard work. Because, you know, Deku was bullied. Deku didn't have a power. His mom felt sorry for him. That places sadness on you as well. And then, yeah, someone gave him power and he became a great hero because he worked hard and blah, 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 blah. Now you're saying Shigaraki did have his mom comforting him, loving him, his grandparents. All he had was a strict dad that told him that didn't want him to be a hero because of what his mom did to him. And now you're telling me that all he needed was someone to tell him, you can do it, and then he would have been Deku? No, that is downplaying Deku's experiences. That is, I don't know, I don't agree with that at all, but okay. He continues, the world is based in decisions, and I really like the discussion about grays in society. Maybe you are right, and all they want to do exactly the same with a different ruler. But in the narrative of... it's not that they're going to do exactly the same, it's that it's going to turn out the same. So their intention might not be to have it turn out the same. I'm just saying I think it will turn out the same. But in the narratives of revolutionaries, they really think about the causes as something that may bring justice to the world. Shigaraki though? I disagree with... I don't even think I read the full comment before I replied because I don't remember reading this. Or the comment is edited and they added it because I don't remember. Justice? Shigaraki? Maybe read Destro in his head, yes. Shigaraki? Justice? Where? And then this bitch brings up fucking Naruto characters. Shut up. I'm not even there. I'm just starting out in that part of Naruto. Hey, I'm sorry I called you a bitch, but don't fucking spoil me. I hate that. Okay. Moving on to my reply. I don't remember the bottom part of what he said, but let's see what I replied. What you said here. But in that ideal world where people with quirks that look cool, I would like to know who said that this was an ideal world. Heroes become heroes because the world is not ideal. And even me, like I said, the current system is flawed, but I still think it's better than the world they want to create. It's the same system, just more extreme and chaotic. Those who have power are still the only ones who are really free. But there would not be more freedom than there currently is. In fact, I think there would be less. Then they reply, I think heroes are no more heroes in My Hero Academia. Like, can I just, where's my... How do you say that in your mind? How can you see people put their lives in danger? Calm down. How can you see people put their lives in danger and then just because you now see this, now you sympathize with villains and the boo-hoo, they were sad backstory, now suddenly heroes are not heroes anymore, even like they put their lives on the line every single damn day. Some of them die saving others. Think of Ida's fucking brother. Like, can you just don't do that. Don't put things in these extremes. I understand the world is not perfect. You can't say heroes are not heroes just because you now sympathize with the villains. Okay, but then they continue. Okay. Now it's a popularity contest. Kind of think that is one of the things Shigaraki despises. It says despites, but despises about the society. Even talking about him, no hero helped him in the situation he had. I also think that the revolution in which the Liberation Front believes is wrong, but if we part with the idea people are born with quirks and suppress their powers in order to keep order and law, that's actually negating the fact that the first heroes were illegal people protecting others with their quirks. Redestro said something about vigilantes, really cool manga by the way, and then I replied, no hero helped him? You think in the world they want to create, there will be no children that goes through trauma. In a chaotic world like that, where whoever is strongest can do whatever they want, I think children will go through more trauma. But there's no way to know that for sure until we see that world unfold. So I'm not claiming to know that it will be. I'm just saying, if you think that shit was bad, wait until you get this world they want. Then, because there's going to be fucked up people in the world no matter what you do, no matter what system exists. There's gonna be bad people. And that means that kids will and there will be trauma and blah 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 blah. You don't. Okay. Also, what part of being a hero is a popularity contest? Sorry, I read that wrong. So what if part of being a hero is a popularity contest? How is it any different than Shigaraki using his power now have thousands of people following him? They followed Redestro and he got defeated and now they follow Shigaraki because he is their new #1 hero. Don't fool yourself into thinking their system is any different or that things will work out any different. They just don't have the official popularity ranking list, but they can make it. Oh, which person in the Paranormal Liberation Front is your #1? Shigaraki at the new top. Redestro used to be the #1. Don't think that things won't evolve into numbers and stuff like that anyway, regardless of the system. People, that's just how people are. We look up to others. We make statues of people. How is it different? How is Shigaraki now being where he is because he defeated Redestro any different than there being a statue of All Might because he gives people hope? Same thing. Heroes save people's lives. Not everyone, but that's because they are not gods. It's unfair to expect them to be everywhere at any point in time. Like, that is the issue with this world. This current system isn't perfect. Your average citizen should be able to take a little bit more responsibility. Like, and therefore maybe he would have been helped, but the heroes can't be gods. They can't see every single child in need of help. It's unfair to expect that of them. And that's why, yes, I think your average citizen should take a little bit more, but that's not the hero's fault. It's not the hero's fault that people walked past that child. The system isn't perfect. People should rely less on heroes, but I personally don't believe the world would be any better under the lead of Shigaraki or their system, which has now, at least in my opinion, no real goal except to make other people suffer like he did. Like, the Redestro and everyone now dedicated them to Shigaraki, but Shigaraki doesn't want what they want. Not really. He doesn't even know what he wants. He has no real goal. He just wants to do what he wants. In that essence, yes, he symbolizes the freedom they so desire, but I don't want to live in his world, personally. Bye, Nox. Cherry says, let me just emphasize, although I did get annoyed with the spoilery comments, I do appreciate your comments, Nicholas, and I apologize for calling you bitch. It was not like actually me calling you, it was just being like, bitch, why, don't spoil me, okay? So I didn't mean that. And I like this back and forth, and you were super respectful in your messages, so I appreciate that. And I'm sorry I got worked up, but I got really angry. I just get angry when people like, the heroes aren't heroes. You can't say that just because there's a popularity list. It's not like they decided that there should be a popularity list. It's because people do that. We do that. We put them on pedestals. You expect them to be there for every single child that gets hurt. You turn them into gods, me and you. It's not fair to say, oh, you're not a hero now because there's popularity lists and because you don't save every single child. How many people have you helped in your life? They've saved hundreds of lives. You cannot say that they're not heroes. And I'm passionate about that. And I'm sorry if that comes across as rude. I'm not trying to be. If Toga wasn't an evil character, she would have been my top 5 BNHA character. Also, when will sub mode end? I'm sure we can turn it off, I guess. No, it's not like... We haven't had a spoiler in a while. We have tons of mods here, so I think it should be fine. Yassine says, it's not that the heroes didn't want to help. It's just that All For One found him first. Cherry says, also, I don't get it. It wasn't that just no hero helped him. If he could have gone to a hero agency, but he was small, so, and confused, so it's not like the kid's just gonna know where to go, but that's where the citizens come in. That is why oh, and then there's another thing that I wanted to talk about. There's so much that I want to talk about. This is gonna be a long review, guys. Or not a review, but a discussion. It annoys me that, and I understand in this world that people want to choose either the heroes or the villains. But it is more nuanced than that, and it comes down to where people always say, oh, everything's not black and white. But, so people go to these two extremes, but for me, what's really important, I know that this world isn't perfect. And I think that there's never going to be a perfect world. So I think we should work with this world that we have and make it better. And I don't like how the Redestra and them went about it, and I don't even think Shigaraki, he just wants to destroy. So now it's like the Liberation Army, they're not the same anymore. They don't want what they even wanted. They're now following Shigaraki, who just wants to destroy shit. So take that into consideration. But this world I think that we've got is not perfect, and it never will be, but I think what will make it better is if citizens got more responsibility. Stop trusting the government for every single fucking thing and and the heroes and expect everything from them and expect them to take care of you, and let's start making citizens take more responsibility for their own lives and for, others. What do you say? Like, teach personal responsibility. In that sense, to me, that's what libertarians want. Maybe a little bit more than I think is necessary even. I don't know, I'm not super clued up on libertarianism. But as far as I'm aware, they want minimal government interference. And I get that. I'd also like to limit government interference, because now, even in our world, people are just expecting the government to take care of them. So they give all their freaking liberties and freedoms to the government, and they trust these people that are also flawed people. And then they do less in their lives, and they start getting these victim mentalities because the government should take care of me, the government should take care of me. And on that note, let me read. I use this as a segue. I talked about this to some people in a group chat. So let me go get that group chat. I pinned the message. Here we go. Wait, didn't I already talk about this at some point in a stream last week? I did talk about this briefly in a stream, but it wasn't to do with My Hero Academia, and now I don't know. And I really liked what I said, and I told myself I should get that clip or something, or I should make a clip, so I don't have to say it again, I could just play it. But anyway, the comment I got that annoyed me was, oh God, is this the I read 1984 once and now I'm a philosopher starter pack? And yes, I am actually, I'm not even done reading it. I'm busy reading it. I'm about halfway. And I do read along videos, and they're available on my Discord for patrons and YouTube members. So yeah, I do read it. because I care and I think that we should read more and talk more about what we read. But it pisses me off that this person acts like having an opinion that's different from theirs is somehow like, in what way am I trying to be a philosopher as if that's a bad thing in the first place? Because I had this freaking, a few days ago, I had a 5-hour discussion about an arc in One Piece. And to be honest, I didn't even discuss everything that I wanted. I just got tired. So it's not that I fucking read books, because I do. I read a lot of books because I think it's important to read, to have discussions with people, to ask questions. So I resent this person for acting like talking and questioning things is supposed to be a bad thing. And I'm not going to entertain people like this, because that's not someone that wants to have a discussion, and my videos are here because I like having discussions. And I welcome people who have different opinions, people like the guy whose comments I just read. Yes, I'm going to strongly disagree with you on some things. Yes, I'm going to throw in the word bitch, and I don't mean it in a mean way. That's just sometimes how I talk, and I will apologize, because in a formal discussion or a proper discussion, you shouldn't say words like that. But I do get worked up, and that's fine. And they don't have to agree with me, but I don't have to agree with them. And that back and forth, if you remain respectful, is very valuable. Because usually you don't know the answer, I don't know the answer. The best answer is sometimes somewhere in between, and the only way you reach that answer is through discussion and dialogue, which is the same thing, and questioning things, and coming to conclusions and making theories. So don't fucking downplay I'm a philosopher. Like, I'm not trying to be a philosopher. I'm trying to have a discussion. And that's a good thing. And I value people who want to do the same. So I'm not going to let someone like this hang around my channel and act like talking about things is a bad thing. So I just letting you know I blocked that person, because clearly they don't want to talk. So then they shouldn't be on a video on a channel where I have always, before I read fucking 1984, I have talked about things for hours on end. Okay. I just want to point out that this is part of what I said. I'm sorry I blocked them, but it was their second comment in 5 minutes, and there's no way they even watched half of the video or cared about properly discussing things at all with that attitude, and I don't have time to argue with fools. There was a time where I felt bad because Attack on Titan fans would do the same and would then go to Reddit and say I'm censoring them if I ended up blocking them when they were rude or whatever. But no way. I've tried to reason with Attack on Titan fans for far too long. If they want to name call, they can do so on Reddit, Twitter, or their own YouTube channel. So I'm not censoring them, because they can go on wherever and say whatever they want about me. But my channel is reserved for constructive conversations. Even if you get passionate, it's fine. Like, just don't name call and stuff. Whew. Which is why I apologize for saying bitch. Because I shouldn't do that. But once again, it wasn't like, you're a bitch. It was just like, bitch, don't spoil me. Okay, Juno says, good book. Remember reading it when I was 13 and freaked me the fuck out. Also, Christopher Hitchens' book on why Orwell matters is another fantastic read. Orwell was an incredible guy. I have only read Animal Farm when I was in high school, so this is just my second book from him. But I do like reading in general. Funny enough, I do have a philosophy book, and I am interested in philosophy, and I did study philosophy for 3 years when I was at university. I also have, I have tons of books, and they're storybooks, and they're reading books, and they're, I do have Animal Farm. I have Nelson Mandela's Long Walk to Freedom. I like autobiographies from people who inspire me. Stuff like that. I don't know. I just think it's silly to act like talking about stuff is a bad thing. Speaking about theories, there are a lot of Genshin Impact theorists. I think it would be fun to watch on stream. Bye, Yassine. Okay, I think there is... What else? Oh, there is more comments that I wanted to get to. And then last but not least, the thing... oh, here's another one. Not sure where you got that. As far as I'm aware, the Liberation Army just wanted people to be free to use their quirks no matter who is in power. I 100% prefer their system over the current My Hero Academia system, but once again, I feel like the Liberation Army doesn't exist anymore. Their system is now under Shigaraki because that's what they were always about. The most powerful person has the most say. Shigaraki ended up being the most powerful now. He's the leader. And what is his goal? But I want to destroy everything. So that's always, in my opinion, what the Liberation Army's system was about. Most power, most say. And now Shigaraki has the most power. And now they follow him, and he has no good goals. He has no... He's in that world. I just feel like it... If you think what Shigaraki went through was bad, I feel like way more kids will go through terrible things under the leader. Ignore them. You're going to lose your sanity if you keep paying attention to them. I do ignore them for the most part. If I had to respond to every one of those kinds of people, I would do so every day. Instead, I only do so every couple of weeks. And I think it's important to address them because they do exist. And it brings up, good discussions because it shows that there are people like that, and I disagree with them, and this is why, and this is what I want for my channel. So it's good to reestablish those things. So I don't know. I understand what you're getting at, but at the same time, I'm not losing anything responding to them every now and then. You know what I'm saying? I can agree. No. I had the water bottle here, so it's very hot. This hot water bottle. It was here, and now it's very hot. Let me say it like this. I do agree that there have been times where I let them get to me too much. Case in point, Attack on Titan. But that's because there were a lot of them at once. Like, my Attack on Titan videos got thousands of views, which means thousands of people, and I was way too involved in, because they're passionate and angry and I'm passionate about the opposite, and then I was just too involved there. So during Attack on Titan, I definitely let it get to me too much, but just responding to them, I don't think that that's such a big issue. But yeah, let's continue with this comment now. So they're saying, I 100% prefer their system, and by their system, I think he means the Liberation Army. I don't know if he means the paranormal new liberation thing. If a villain attacks me, I want to be free to defend myself using my quirk and not rely on government agents to come save me. Of course, that will mean that some people with the strongest or more useful quirks will be more likely to rise in society, but that's the same for any advantage you were born with. I feel like this person might be looking at the world they want to create too idealistically. They think that you're not just going to rise in society. You have the power to make your own rules. And if you want to, if Shigaraki, because he's the strongest, if he wants to destroy everything, he can, because he's the strongest. And if you can't defend yourself, that's on you. And I think that if we want to live in a society and benefit from each other, you can't be scared to go outside and do your work. Because now remember, we choose to live in a society, right? If you want to go live in the mountains, I'm sure there's places where you can. But now most of us choose to live in a society where everyone does a little bit of their work. You know, I'm lucky that I get to, because we live in the system we live in, I get to talk about anime for a living, right? I'm not really contributing the same shit as people who farm and make food. I literally would not be able to survive without farmers and making food. Otherwise, have to be out there making my own food. Because that's what you're saying here. You're saying, I want to be able to protect myself. And that's all well and good. And I think you should be able to some extent. But I feel like you're looking idealistically at their system, because their system is not just about protecting yourself. It's absolute freedom where you can use your quirk however you see fit. So anyway, if you're in a society, there's people who make food, there's people who make cars, there's people who, and for all of that to work, you have to feel safe, you know? So there's police, because if you go to work, your family is at home, you want to know that if something happens, there's someone that could, because let's say you have a weakish, like me, okay, I'm skinny, I'm not very strong, I'm not going to be able to protect myself. If I have a kid, I'm going to try, but if someone breaks into my house because they're stronger and they want to take my shit because they can, because they're stronger, sure, you want to have a means to defend yourself, but ideally it would be nice if there were police that I could call that could rush to the scene. But yes, police are not always ideal and perfect. They're not gods. So it would be cool if I learned how to shoot the gun and I could at least, you know, hey, fuck off, this is my house. I don't know how this shit works, so please don't take anything. I'm just trying to give you an idea here, right? For the system to work, there will have to be a government, and that's why the libertarians, they're not absolute chaos. They say limited government involvement, right? And that's another thing that we can talk about. Even if you talk about police or heroes, the heroes or the police should not necessarily be a government, because that's a whole other discussion, to be honest. They shouldn't serve the government. They should really serve the people. But that, essentially, the government should serve the people. But that's not how we've made it. And that's what is wrong in this system as well, in the My Hero Academia system, is that the government has become too powerful. I don't think they should be taken away completely, which is what my understanding of what the Liberation Army wanted. Now I don't know what the fuck they want, because they're being led by Shigaraki. But anyway, in our world, in the My Hero Academia world, the government has too much power and too much responsibility, and the people have become, like, lax. Is that the right word? Lax? So anyway, if you want to live in a society where you want to be able to go out and do your job that contributes to society, and you want your kids to grow up safe and there's gonna be, you're gonna have to have some form of government to make rules so that people can live in harmony. There has to be rules for that. But don't give them too much power, because then instead of the government serving you, you're serving the government. And that's bad, because they're also flawed people, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So they could take advantage of their power over you, and that's why you should keep them in check so that that doesn't happen. Does that make sense? I'm still waiting to see Kayla in her big fuck-off mansion on the beach. What's that? I don't want to live on the beach. What if there's a wave and then, like a big one, and then I drown? It's scary. Okay, let me see here. Where were we talking about? Oh, I'll continue reading. I'll pick up where I left off. Of course, that'll mean that the people with the strongest, more useful quirks will be more likely to rise in society, but that's the same for any advantage you were born with. So let me just recap. I think that he's looking too idealistically at the Liberation Army's approach. In my opinion, the Liberation Army was always going to devolve into what we see it currently is. Strongest guy that just wants to destroy at the top. Okay. does not give a fuck about justice, in my opinion. Which reminds me of the main criticism of libertarianism. They continue. You libertarians want to ban taxes, so you don't care about the poor. And the answer libertarians give is, freedom means that I can spend my money however I want. Charity should be voluntary and not imposed by the government. So that is, I agree with you on the terms of libertarianism. But remember, libertarians don't want no government. They want limited government. The Liberation Army is not like libertarians. I feel they share some similarities with libertarians, but that doesn't make them libertarians. Libertarians in our world want personal responsibility for people with limited government interference. The Liberation Army, it was quirks. That's what it's about, quirks. I want the freedom to use my quirk however I want. That's like saying, I want the freedom to have any weapon I can make, any weapon I can get and use it however I want. Don't mix up in my opinion, you shouldn't mix up in your head libertarians versus the Liberation Army in this show, which was solely about quirks and power and having absolute power over your quirks, which I disagree with. Even in your real life, I want sole power over my arms. If I want to strangle someone, I can strangle someone, because that's what they end up. Because with their approach, you can see that's what they're about. Sorry, I'm bumping the table. They think, okay, we'll get everyone together on our side. We'll get super strong. We'll impose our beliefs onto others. We want to live like this, so everyone should now live like this, and we're going to fuck up with the system, even though some people are probably happy in this system, and they're going to turn it into a world where the strongest person gets to have the most say. It's not, in my opinion, the strongest person can move up higher in society quicker. Look at Shigaraki. It's already happened. Shigaraki is at the top. What is his goal but to destroy? And they're following him because he's the strongest. Because that's their beliefs. I can't go against this guy because I'm not strong enough. So yeah, freedom. That's their idea of freedom. Okay. I feel like, I don't know. I'm not gonna read my response because I said pretty much the same stuff. Let me check the chat here. Reminds me of a quote from Abraham Lincoln, says Cherry. That government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. The one you posted when you were house wishing. I thought that one was on the beach. Oh no, it's not on the beach. It's close to the beach, but I can't, no. I'm never gonna, it's a dream house in the sense that I would dream of living there, but it's not a goal house. In the sense of I am working towards living there, because that's just too much money. God. I literally don't want to earn that much money because I don't know how hard the hell I must work for fucking that amount of money. I would need to start learning stocks and stuff. Okay, so I think that is the only comments I wanted to read. Let me finish off by sharing the screenshot, which is an interesting discussion to have as well. And I'd like to hear your opinions. Let me just see where the screenshot is. It's ridiculously hot. No, why didn't I send it to someone and then I could just go there? Come Come on, come on, come on. No, 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 no. 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 Oh, here, got it. Okay. So let me remind you that I don't agree with everything they say. I agree with the last part, and I will expand on that. So the first, it's 2 pictures. And it was shared on BNHA Powers on Instagram, okay? So you can go check it yourself. It's 2 pictures. The first picture says no, someone screaming no, and the second one is someone screaming yes. So the what they're screaming no to is the heroes are the real villains. No. So I agree with that. That is a ridiculous take. You can take it. It's your choice. I think it's ridiculous, personally. Then they're saying yes to the following, but I don't agree with part of it. But the last line I think is very important, and I agree with that. The true villains are All for One and the Hero Commission, both entities who have taken in young children, manipulated them, and used them as pawns in a greater war. This is emphasized in the current arc by how they aren't even present in the fight, instead watching from the sidelines. Okay, I feel like this is spoilery now that I'm reading it again. But anyway, it's a grander vision of how Endeavor used his family to further his agenda. Okay, this is the part I agree with. Corruption and control over others for personal benefit is the ultimate enemy. So I agree with that. Corruption and control over others for personal benefit is the ultimate enemy. And in my opinion, the Paranormal Liberation Army is not about corruption and control. It's about control, because if you are the strongest, you have the most control. And about the Hero Commission, I agree about the control as well. They have too much control. But what I disagree with a little is the emphasis on manipulation. Wait, where did it say? Where was it? Manipulated them. So it talks about how the Hero Commission manipulates children, and how the Hero Commission manipulates people. And I don't think that that's entirely fair. That's putting all the blame on the Hero Commission, whereas in our world as well, you can blame your government for bad things, but at the end of the day, if you keep giving your freedoms away, you can't put all the blame on the government either. So that's where personal responsibility comes in. Parents are also responsible for their children, so you can't say that the Hero Commission manipulated children. I don't really see, like, they have school, and then just like in our world, if a child wants to go to a technical school, and like, it's a choice if you want to go to a hero school, right? They're not, and this is the part that might be spoilery, but it's not really spoilery because we just saw in the end that that's kind of what's going to happen, where they're using children to fight their war, which, yes, okay, I disagree with that part. But up to, let's say, before today's episode's preview, I wouldn't say that children are being manipulated to become heroes, because they're going through very strict systems to see if they're up to it, both mentally and physically, and then they go through school still, and like, no one's forcing them, right? And they're still going through normal school, and how do you say, and they're not being used to, like, they do the most that we've seen them do, excluding the end of today's episode. The most that we've seen them do is what do you call them? Hero internships. So then they go and they shadow and they see, is this something I want to be a part of? Can I really do this? Blah, blah, blah. But they don't take part in any wars. They're not used for life or death. You know what I'm saying? Up until they're old enough, 18, 19, and then they can go work under another hero, and then they get their experience, and then they can start their own hero agency. I personally believe that it's a okay system. I don't know if I'd be like Deku's mom, where I'd be scared shitless, but even if my kid becomes an MMA fighter, I'd be scared shitless. Like, you just don't want to see your kids in those kinds of situations, but you can't stop them from doing, you know, dangerous things. I didn't say that. When did I say that? I never said that. I'm not sure where you got that. So my point is, I feel like I agree with the part, corruption and control over others for personal gain, benefit is the ultimate enemy, is bad. But I don't like that what this post is doing is it's putting all the blame on others. It's putting it on the Hero Commission, where the real message for me in the arc is that people should start taking more responsibility for themselves. The Hero Commission didn't manipulate you into becoming a hero. Yes, their rules are not ideal, and we should take more part in the making of these rules. And if the government or the Hero Commission or anyone overreaches, the people should hold on to the power so that they can push back, so that we can all decide together what. And once again, I want to emphasize, there will never be a perfect system. Each solution to each problem will create more problems. I feel like that's something that a lot of people today don't realize. For example, I agree with many vegetarians and vegans that overconsumption of meat and the industry, it's hurting and we shouldn't do it, blah, blah, blah. Like, I agree with that to some extent, in the sense that we shouldn't, like, it's doing a lot of harm. I do eat meat and stuff. I don't want to get into that stuff now. I'm just trying to explain. I'm just trying to illustrate that you can agree with a group, but now their solution, now they want everyone to switch over to a vegan diet, and they don't realize that creates its own issues. So I think Cherry, one time I sent a video to you, was it to you, where someone explained now with the huge demand for almond milk and like thousands upon thousands of mice and rabbits, and they're being murdered. In the same sense, these vegans don't realize, maybe, like, to create the masses of your food that is now in demand, because more and more people are being vegan and stuff. It's also with all the field, the heavy machinery and everything that they need to now make these foods with that's also. Did you guys hear that? Shh, I'm hungry. With the masses of, the way that they're going about making their food, they're also hurting a lot of animals. Thousands of mice and rabbits and stuff are also being killed, and not even for good reason, not even to be eaten. They're just getting killed in the process of making your food because of the high demand. Plus, there's this place, also, almonds take an absurd amount of water to grow. Absurd amount of water, that's another problem. And there's this country, or it's just one example. There's a town or a small country, and I wish I had this video because I want to give you the details, where their main food is being, because it's so in demand in America, it's being shipped away because they're paying more for it. So now the people of that place is almost starving, and they're having to pay out of their ears. I don't know how you say that. Like, they're almost, the people that are suffering and starving because they can't, their staple, it's a staple food. They can't afford their staple food because everything's being sent off to America, because now Americans are vegan and conscious and friendly and blah, blah, blah. And that's also creating a problem. So my point is just with the best intentions that you have, almost everyone has good intentions. But with each solution comes new problems, and that's why you have to always, you can't be, I just get annoyed with people that are so self-righteous, that they think that their answer is the answer and the true answer and the only answer. What do you think, you're Jesus? The way, the truth, and the light. Like, no. Hold back a bit. Like, I'm not saying my answers are correct, but at least I know that I'm just giving a different opinion. Like, I can tell you the system is not perfect, but at least I feel like it's just better than this system, and I feel like we should work on this rather than, and fix this, rather than just throw that out of the water, try and implant a whole new system that's going to just come with a whole bunch of new issues, and you're just going to end up being stuck in the same place or a very similar place. All these mouses die without a reason. My snakes could have eat most of them. Damn you vegans. I totally read that as virgins. I was like, damn, dude, they got enough issues. The way to hell is paved with good intentions. That is true, Mike. So my point is just, all I'm trying to get at here at the very end of the freaking video is that don't think that you are so right. There's not, I understand though, you can choose whoever side you want, but don't think that that is the end all and be all, because it almost never is. And as long as you're aware of that, you can like, as long as you're aware of that, you can say, I agree with the Liberation Army because it will solve these problems, and it might create these problems, but then we'll work about solving them because these problems that it will create is less than the problems we currently have. If you can explain all of that to me, then I'll be like, cool. But personally, I'm still thinking that, yes, the system is flawed, but it's very easy to solve, and at least it's like more or less, I think it's working more or less. So I'd rather, because a revolution comes with a lot of pain and suffering, because it's difficult to set up a new system. It is. And that's why a lot of people end up stuck in a system that doesn't work, and that's really bad, because taking it away and having nothing, no system is very chaotic, and a lot of people don't deal well without a framework. So you have to know, if you want to replace a system, you have to know a very good way towards it that will not disrupt your average people's lives too much and hurt too many people. And then once you reach it, because now what I think the Liberation Army, they wanted this new system, but the cost is just way too high. Plus, in my opinion, their system is just no better than it's worse than the current system, in my opinion. I just think we should focus on fixing the system's flaws. Then we don't have to break everything in chaos for a while to replace and build a new system. Guys, I don't think you realize, I know that even in our world, I'm talking about in the West in general, I know our system isn't perfect either, but it was fucking difficult to even get it to here. If you just kind of like over that and try and build a new one, you're gonna have to start everything from scratch. And like that is watch Neon Genesis Evangelion's last movie. Listen to the words that some of the characters say, because they had to kind of rebuild things from scratch. I'd rather fix what we have instead of like, let's build something new. Because that, a lot of people get fucked off there. And once again, the Liberation Army's new system, I think is shit. Personally. The Liberation Army wants a world that the most powerful can do whatever he wants, and it's not that far from our own system, but at least we have rules, there it will be nothing. See, the thing is, Sotos, in some places, like it is similar to where we are, in terms of people with power, how do you say, can do whatever they want. But technically it's against the rules. And if more people, because now the people with power are only getting away with it. They're not really allowed to get away with it. They just get away with it because they have ways about going around things and because your average person doesn't call them out. In fact, like with governments, your average person just wants to be taken care of. So they let the government get away with a bunch of shit because they feel, well, at least I'm taken care of. At least I get the bare minimum. So what I'm saying is our system isn't great because, yes, powerful people get away with a lot of stuff, but they're not really allowed to. The only reason they get away with stuff is because we don't hold them accountable. It is against the rules. Do you understand what I'm saying? In the Liberation Army's world, in my opinion, how do you say? It won't be against the rules because you have the power, so you get to do what you want. Like Shigaraki. All this government talk makes me want to put forward Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Thank you for the bits, Beast. I own now. Hey all, hope good things happen to all of us soon. Thank you. But yeah, it's been 80 minutes, so let me end with Cherry's message here. Unfortunately, that boom new system is how especially young people think. I feel like that's why the older we get, the more almost conservative we become because we know that things don't progress as quickly as we'd love to. And the thing is, like, I think a lot of kids, they don't realize that thing about with each solution comes new problems. Okay, 2 more messages. Juno says, it's okay. We literally just had an election here in Canada and nothing changed. There was a difference in 2 seats. Soto says, yeah, but where I live, I have seen with my eyes a place that some rich and powerful people go get underage girls and no one can do anything because they can even control the police. But see, that's because you've gone to a point where people have given all their power to the police and the government. So now the government can do what they want, but technically they can't if the people, because now it's wrong. You know it's wrong, I know it's wrong, but they get away with it because now the people have given all that power to them. And like you said, no one can do anything because they control even the police. So now the government has too much control, but the thing is, the people gave away that power. And technically you can take it back if you come together, but now it's gotten to a point where it would be this, you would need a revolution. But that's the whole point. Revolutions are not how do you say? They're not easy. And I understand where, and I've said this since the beginning, for the Liberation Army, I understand where they're coming from, but they're going about it in the wrong way. Because they're getting all these civilians involved. And they're going to end up hurting a lot of people. But now an ideal revolution, if something like that exists, would just target the people in power. And the thing is, if you want to revolutionize in the terms of, we don't want you to have all the power, we want more power, okay, fine. But once again, in the My Hero Academia world, it's not about power, it's about, not just about, we want to have more say over our lives. This is specifically about quirks, and therefore, rules are important. Once again, coming back to libertarians, where they acknowledge that a government might be necessary, but limited. And so, yes, when the government has too much power, you might need to take drastic measures to take the power back from the government and put them in their place. But I think what the Liberation Army is wanting to do, they just want to overthrow everything so that the person with the most power, because they feel like they're stronger and they can get stronger and they've developed their powers to get stronger, and now they just want to overthrow the government. They don't want to change the rules. They want to overthrow the current system and put in a new system, which I think as I've explained before, is not really different than the system that there is. Because they're just going to turn out the same. Because their rules say the strongest person gets to make the rules. And right now, how is that different? The government hero commission is the strongest and they get to make the rules. It's not different. I think that it is difficult to talk about these real world stuff versus My Hero Academia stuff because it's so different and our world doesn't have quirks. So it is difficult to compare. But I tried my best. And if you have any questions, if something that I said was unclear, please ask me and I'll try and make it more clear. What we need with our age is to dull a bit of the young new system intentions and use some of that aged wisdom to still want to make the current system better and fix what we can. The real issue comes from indifference to the system overall. That's a very good point. Yes. Indifference to the system overall. But that comes from relying too much on it, which we see the people in My Hero Academia do. We do it ourselves. We give all our power to the government and we become indifferent to whatever they're doing. And then as time goes on, they end up having so much power. It's like that frog in boiling water, or frog in a bowl of water, right? And if the water gets gradually hotter, the frog won't even realize it's going to be boiled. Does that make sense? Am I saying it right? And then it's too late, and then you might need that's a good way to put it. So if the people are the frog in a bowl of water, that's a fine place to be for a frog. But now we want to notice when the water gets hot. We must be self-aware. I think in many places in our world, the water is getting fucking hot. And that is because people are not paying attention. In the My Hero Academia world, I think the water is warm and people should start realizing it. But I don't think it's necessary at their point, because once the water gets to a boiling point, you don't have time. You need to just shove the bowl over. And then a revolution might be necessary. In my opinion, in the My Hero Academia world, that is not necessary, because a lot of people end up getting hurt that way. So we shouldn't shove. What is this for? Knock. We shouldn't need to knock the bucket or bowl over yet. You're going to end up hurting more people than it would take to just adjust the water, bring it back down. You understand what I'm saying? I like similes or analogies like that. It's easier to kind of express myself. The only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. As a Chinese hot fan, I used to watch you on Bilibili. Now I finally see real cute sis. Hello. I'm just gonna call you WXP8800. That is a name. Okay, so 90 minutes later, but the sensation of hotness of the water is subjective. Which is why dialogue is so important, and why I don't tolerate people making fun of me just because I like talking about things. That is why dialogue is important. That is why people need to be aware, because yes, the hotness of the water is subjective. But as long as people are taking personal responsibility and talking about things, let me read. This is why it's my Twitter banner, because it's always fucking relevant. Peace does not mean the absence of conflicts. Because people have subjective opinions on what is the hotness of the water, differences are bound to happen. Peace means solving these differences through peaceful means. Peace means solving these differences through peaceful means, through dialogue, education, knowledge, and humane ways. So not what the Liberation Army aims to do. How they're going about things, how they're grouping people together, I don't really see a problem with that. Making their little faction, their little town, their own town, like, okay. But now their end goal seems to be a bit worrisome. And especially now that Shigaraki is the head, I knew it's gonna lead to that. That's the problem with their strongest quirk gets to do whatever they want philosophy type thing. So yeah, here is, if you want to read the quote, you can pause. It is on my Twitter banner because it is very relevant and a lot of stories that I watch. People think like peace is gonna be this ideal, everyone is happy, but because things are subjective, that ideal peace will never happen. So peace doesn't mean no conflict. Peace means conflicts being resolved through dialogue and education and the humane ways. And even then, the system will never be perfect. But we should be okay with that. We should try and get it as good as possible through constant little adjustments. You see a new problem arise because of the other solution. Okay, let's address that. We alter, and that's what life is. Every part of it. Constant adaptation and change and the readjusting. Making their own factions. Jaegerist, someone talking about us. The sad part, at least with Greece, that I know most, what happens is that people here are like the people from Dressrosa. They won't bother if you just let them have a nice, easy life. Even something really bad happened to someone else, they will think, hey, it's not me, so not my problem. Ugh, why did I sit like that? Oh my god. That is another problem, and it's sadly not something you can force people to care about. The only way that you can that's why stuff like this ends up happening, because people are like, as long as it's not me, they don't really care. But through dialogue, we have to make people realize, but it could be you, so get involved at least. It could, and that's also why I think, to what you said earlier, Cherry, about why as we get older, we get more conservative, in the sense that, like, at around a year ago, I only started thinking about having kids, because before that, I didn't have a strong foundation. I was, figuring my own life out. Now I'm thinking about having kids, and now I'm starting to think my kids will have to live in this world, and now you want to make the world better. So it's not just about me and my problems. I'm not going to be here someday. So I want my kids to live in a world where it's at least not, I don't know, Shigaraki's world. Sorry. That's just me. And that's something, sadly, that people will not understand maybe until they get to the point in their life when they start looking outside of themselves and they maybe want to leave the world to their kids. From World War II. First they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. And that's why you should get involved. And you should not let the government have too much power. And if you want to mock me because, hey, I'm reading 1984 and that's about not giving government too much power. I don't even know what the book's about. I'm halfway through. But yeah, I like talking about things, and that's not bad. That is where personal responsibility comes. Okay. Really, I must end now. I have a Gintama to watch. Thank you guys for listening. I don't care if these videos get 500 views, 300 views. I am just glad that there are people willing to listen and willing to talk about this. I tried my best. I'm also just one person talking to hundreds of people on a weekly basis. So please take that just into consideration. And I will continue to adjust my own way of doing these things. But I think I'm doing better now than I did in Attack on Titan. But to be fair, Attack on Titan went from talking to hundreds of people per week to thousands. And that gets tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, it's tough when you're like one person and then there's like a lot and you're just like, sorry. But I'll try my best. Okay, cool. I'll see you guys, I don't know when, because My Hero Academia is done now, but hopefully you'll stick around for my other reactions and reviews. But if not, I'll see you for season 6. Bye.